Yeah, we are live, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining Talk to Connect. I am so honored to be here today. And today we are having an amazing guest who is going to teach us something. I think all of us are going to be learn a lot from this talk today. And as usual, this talk is just to help you find your purpose, to be empowered, to find your own journey, and to inspire each other to grow. So today we are having Tammy. Tammy, thank you for joining us today. It's an amazing, it's an honor to have you here today. So welcome to Talk to Connect. And Eli, welcome. Thank you, everybody. And I wish, I hope this is going to be an exciting talk and you're going to enjoy as much as I'm enjoying learning from Tammy in these few weeks that I've been connecting with her.
Thank you very much, Fatima, for that welcome. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, whosoever is joining us today or who is going to do this replay. And Tammy, we want to welcome you today on our platform, Talk to Connect. I'm so excited, to have Tammy here. Tammy has been an amazing, good friend to me, and I met her during this self-development journey. And now she is our coach. Yeah. How exciting is that? Okay, so now I'm going to introduce Tammy, and then we can start the program. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to say a little bit about Tammy Valleres. So it says here, Tammy is the hero intelligent teacher. Her superpower is transforming classroom learning environment into conscious, cooperative, caring, communicative, and she's passionate about quality education and helping every child become the best that they can be through mentorship programs that are engaging, educational, and empowering. Tammy's mission is to awakening the inner hero in both adults and children so they can make a powerful impact in the world. And Tammy did not stop there. Tammy also have a social and emotional intelligent hero expert, personal growth and development consultant, teacher, mentor specialist in transforming classroom learning environment. And Tammy also work focus on improving quality life using her compass of life model, which is the attitude behavior choice diamond emotional feature, and also especially in the field of education and youth. Her hope is to one day expand this business to reach children around the world so that every children's full potential is recognized and fostered into greatness. And she provides a range of services across Ontario and Canada. And her services include personal and professional development strategies, educational workshops, schools, assemblies, life coaching, tips and tools for live and large group presentation. And she catered to a wide variety of client ability and age with understanding, and everyone in a very unique, sorry about that, and everyone in a unique and has an inner hero waiting to awakening, and she pride herself to bringing out the very best in people, places, and things. That's so perfect. This was a brief introduction about Tammy Valleres, our great guest today that we have on our platform, and we am so grateful to welcome her here today. Tammy, you're welcome.
Thank you. Wow. I didn't realize I sent you all that information, but thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm just honored to be here and to be able to connect with your hearts and let's see where it goes, and have some fun and play with each other, because I think that's the whole point, is that we just learn to find our inner child, and we learn to connect with each other in a light and playful way, so that, you know, we can get into our higher vibration, we can get into flow, and we can get into connection with each other and with children that we're working with. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you both.
Thank you so much. So tell me, before we go to deeper questions, I love to ask people, what was your journey? Because well, as Ali was introducing you, there's a lot of achievement, and there's so many things that you're doing, and you're inspiring people. So what was, before we go to other question, what was your journey to becoming, tell me, and what led you to what are the things that inspired you to start doing what you're doing?
So the first thing for me that inspired me was I struggled in the school system. So it was not an easy journey for me. And I didn't know my worth. I didn't know my value. I went through the system feeling that I wasn't good enough, right? That big question, I'm not good enough. What am I good at? And I wasn't living my best life. And when I went to college, I went into early childhood education, and I was at the top of my class. So that was a little bit of like an eye opener for me. And I was like, wow, I'm actually good at this. And then when I took psychology, I was at the top of my class. I was like 98% in psychology. And my teacher came up to me and said, you know, would you be able to tutor? And I thought, why is she asking me this? I'm not smart. And that was the connection, right? It's like, even though I was getting the marks and I was thriving now, finally, I had a belief system about myself that wasn't very good. And I thought, wow, do we ever impact children at a young age when we have a system that doesn't support their learning or doesn't support their strengths? And so, you know, I didn't figure all of that out immediately. It was a journey, and I continued to excel and love what I was doing in teaching and education. And I went through teachers college, and I got straight marks again, right? Straight A's. And so, but the problem was, I went into school and I was a teacher, and I still didn't feel good. I had all these accomplishments. I had done all these things, and I was pushing and pushing and pushing myself, but I still didn't feel like I was enough. And I thought, wow, you know, this is deep. Like, when is it going to be enough where I have proved myself enough, where I have accomplished enough? And it was just this push, push, push. And I just was not feeling good about myself. And I still had a lot of insecurities. And so I thought, well, you know, and I started to, I created this outer world, like outer riches, inner poverty world. I was not feeling good inside, but I had accomplished all these things on the outer world. And it wasn't until a dove hit my window on 11/11/11, that moment of silence. I was teaching in a grade 5-6 classroom, and this dove literally came and smacked right into our window. And it sounded almost like a gunshot. It was so loud. And because my students and I were so silent, because it was the remembrance moment where we were all standing, it shocked me to the point where I was emotional. Like even the EA that was in my classroom with me, we both started to tear up because it was so loud, and because it was a dove, it was very symbolic. And that hit me that day. And I went home, and that was the beginning of this awakening for me, and this journey to discovering, and also the play on spirit animals. Because for me, that day, that moment, it became that animal, that little dove sacrificed its life to wake me up. So that's how the journey all honestly started.
Wow, that's really powerful. Thank you very much for time. And just by saying that, you know, I have goosebumps everywhere in my head. I was like, wow, this is really powerful. And thanks for sharing that story, because most of us, we live in that darkness, and then we do all that society advises us to do: go to school, get a degree, and graduate and start working, making money. But if you look at most of them, they're not happy in the inside. As you
Right.
said to yourself, you got all the degrees and everything, you were making good money, teaching something that you really passionate, but there was something missing inside of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are missing this. So it was great that you shared a story so other people can feel the same, that there is always, if you keep still and then, look within yourself, that
Mhm.
there will be that awakening moment for yourself whereby you will say to yourself, aha, I think I have to change this,
Yeah.
move. And I believe always youths, children, and then this topic we're doing today is, about children, is really dear to my heart, because I feel like my childhood, I miss out all these things, like
Yeah.
how I was brought up. I was, brought up by another family. I've been through a lot. And then at the same time, I miss out so much love by my parents and everything. And I wasn't taught this topic of self-development. I just started in 2019.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, if I can help children as well, kids, teenagers, to understand about themselves from a young age, to try to overcome that fear, doubt, and worry within themselves, they'll grow up to be amazing people. And then we're going to have an amazing society full of genius people doing the thing that they love and they're really passionate about.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm listening to you, and I think when people talk, sometimes you relate a lot to what they say, and that loneliness and that feeling confused and not feeling worthy. I think that journey is what has put all of us on this table right now. So, and I'm going to go back. So when we talk about children, and I'm going to go back so that people understand where we're coming with this topic. So as children and as a teacher, we all have systems. We are in this system that we put children in, and we monitor whatever they're doing. So how do you feel like your system, so that we come to ask the question, whatever you are doing now, how does it change this system that we are having? Because for me, I knew I never had this chance of expressing myself. It was like a system where I had to get as achieve something. You're always compared to someone, and you don't get the freedom as a child. So you are having this system. If you'll explain what the system is, how is it different from what we are having in schools, and how does it change the inner child? And as you're doing this, maybe people will start understanding what we're talking about, the inner child. How do we bring it out in children, and how does it affect us when we are older?
Absolutely. So I love these questions. I love being here talking to both of you for these heartfelt conversations. It's really important. I always say prevention versus correction. So when I look at my own journey, had I started this journey when I was little, had somebody been the teacher for me that I am for them in my classroom, who could I have been? How could I have felt? And what could I have accomplished? Even though I've accomplished lots in my life and I love who I am, I've come to love and embrace who I am and my purpose and journey. I feel like my pain helped me find my purpose. But still, how do we show up in the classroom to support these children? The first thing I love is that I get to teach kindergarten. So I'm right at the base level, right? And I call that the foundation years. I get to work with these 4 and 5-year-olds, just like Olympic champions. When they come in, these coaches come in, they work with 4 and 5-year-olds, 6 and 7-year-olds. They're working with these children at a very young age to develop their skills, their confidence, their abilities. Because by the time they would come in at 18, 19, many of us have old paradigms and beliefs and fears, right, that are not going to help us achieve what we want. So when you think of even just comparing it to it like sports, you can see when you have the right coach and the right mentality, what we can accomplish is far greater than we even thought was possible. And this is what I'm observing in my classroom. What I'm seeing, because I'm doing and implementing this stuff myself new, because I've grown and evolved so much in the last 5 to 10 years. I'm not the same teacher I was 25 years ago. Definitely not, because I was teaching with those old paradigms, those old strategies. And I also like to compare it to the dog whisperer and the horse whisperer, right? How did we treat animals, 10 years ago? And then you see what they're doing now in police academies and seeing eye dogs and all those amazing things. When you build a relationship with children and with animals and with ourselves and with others, it grows us in different capacities. And so what I do when I come into the classroom, I know two things. I teach with two things. And this is what I've learned. When we teach using stories, it connects to the child, right? It connects their learning to life. And then I turn it into leadership. So the one thing I teach them is that silence and stillness is their superpower. Because if they can be silent and they can be still, the first thing they can do is connect with their higher self, their hero self. And it also reduces the roadblocks to others around them and their learning. So if you're concentrating, we know they're going to be able to learn and listen a lot better, right? If they're distracted by 15,000 different things, they're not going to be able to get tuned and tapped into the information. And then if they have all their little friends distracted and being disruptive, it's very hard to concentrate, especially for a 4 and 5-year-old. I mean, it's hard for us as adults to concentrate if we've got all these distractions. And I'm talking really connect. And so these children, they don't have all the distractions that adults have, right? They don't have 50,000 things going on in their brain. So they're already at an advantage because they're little, they have less responsibilities. And if we can teach them that at this young age and help them and give them a motivation, the carrot is leadership. These children want to learn and they want to listen greatly because they want to lead, because nobody ever sees them or listens to their voice. They don't honor who they are, their spirit. We're always talking at children, right? And we're always micromanaging them. But when I show up to the classroom and I say the hero in me sees the hero in you, and I say, oh, my master students, my master teachers, do you know we are all master students? Miss Valleres is a master student, and I am here listening and learning from you. And you too are master students listening and learning from me. But we are all teachers and we are all students. So right there, I come in and I see them as their soul that they are, not the age they are. And that's the difference.
That's really powerful. Fatima, you want to say something?
No, I'm just listening because it's amazing when she's talking about teachers listening to students and I think even parents. I think that's the one thing that we miss to understand, that when you listen to a child, when you allow a child to express themselves, you allow them to see the potential that they have, and you do it, like listening to you is you, if you're a teacher and you're in class, I think most of us forget that we are there not for us to achieve, to show how good we are, but it's to give the child a chance to understand how amazing they are. And listening to you just it makes me connect more to what we do as if you're teaching or you're working with children. What is the purpose of you being in that class? Is it you showing up and showing that you're having a class that is getting A's, or are you there to allow the students to grow and become better people? Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much, Tammy. To be honest, like just listening to that, it's really profound. And just saying that when you get into the class, how you show up to these kids, and you're so down to earth, showing them that I am here to teach, but you are also the master teachers. Mm-hmm. And you just connect with them straight away. Because in society, at homes, you just, so many kids around, they just said to them, their parents or someone, stop this, don't do this. Don't, they're trying to control these kids. And sometimes that's why kids become chaos sometimes at home. Yes. Some homes, like it's really, really, bizarre how it's, these children being brought up in certain homes. And these all come down to their programming. This is when a children is surrounded with chaos and, malfunction home, this is going to affect them in life. Mm-hmm. But if they from a home where they've been praised and then tell how amazing they are, they'll grow up to be, amazing human beings, people with potential and great leaders in the world. So I want to ask you a question. How do you change that chaos into a peaceful classroom? Or also, how can you advise some parents who are at home today listening? How can they change that chaos homes into a peaceful homes with their children? Because I know it's very hard with some parents today.
Yeah.
They're going mental with their kids,
Yeah.
and it's not easy, too much, because for them, the parents already having so much pressure within themselves. So you can see this expression out
Yeah.
in the kids, and the kids have nothing to do with this. So how would you advise some parents out there and also teachers to change chaos into a peaceful
Yeah.
environment?
Chaos to calm. So the first thing I always say, calmness begins with me first. So as the teacher, as the parent, as the educator, if you are chaotic, your inner world is chaotic, we bring that energy into the classroom. So what I do every morning before I go into my classroom is I get into a very calm and very peaceful place. I have my rituals where I say my affirmations, I listen to my quiet music. On my drive, I don't get into high heated conversations, even that are excitable, because when I very intentionally, mindfully, and deliberately walk into my classroom, first with myself. The second thing is I create the environment of calm. So they know that every time Miss Valleres comes for kindergarten masterclass, which is 50 minutes of mindfulness teaching and training and helping them become their best self, they know exactly what I'm there for. So I'll say, my affirmations. So I am peaceful. So I set the tone. I dim the lights. If you have a little lamp or a nice little salt lamp, I do that. I put my quiet meditation music on. So as soon as they see me dim the lights and put the music on, they have all immediately start to go to the carpet area and sit down. And I don't have to say a word, because they just know to do that. And I get my little leaders that lead at the front, and they sit there in their meditation pose, ready for me to come in. So when we hold our 2 fingers up in the air, and I say, repeat after me. I am peaceful. And then they repeat it. I am loving. I am happy. I am kind. I am thankful. I am self-smart. I am, and because we're in a Catholic school, I'll say I am an author and storyteller. And then we hold our hands up and we say, Jesus is our master teacher. He is here to help us grow our 3 super brains, our head brain, our heart brain, and our gut brain, so we can become the best that we can be. So again, you can use whatever master teacher is relatable to your culture and your religion, or just within your school community, and that becomes our mentor. So I always say, if we have our head brain, where we're leading with our head brain, our heart brain, our gut brain, we're in alignment, because we need to eat healthy food, right? We have to have a growth mindset, and we have to have a beautiful heart, not only for ourselves to learn our best, but then to show up in the classroom so everybody else can learn their best. And so I then teach them through stories, like you're learning right now with me. We're going into the ocean world, and with Starfish, who's here to help every sea creature discover their sparkle, discover their jewels and their gems within. And that's the whole key. I'm not here to push information down onto them. I'm here to pull the information out of them. I'm here to be an observer and look for what is their superpowers and strengths. I want to help them grow into their confidence. And I'll do a stop and drop. Everybody stop and drop. Oh my goodness, here's a shining star moment. Look at so-and-so. They can dribble a ball. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Or look at so-and-so. Look at how well they meditate and how quiet and still they are. That's not easy, friends. I say to them, silence and stillness is not easy for most 4 and 5-year-olds. And look at you guys. You guys are doing it. So what does our classroom look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it act like? And what does it think like? I can do it. So I'm giving them the language every morning. I am giving them the confidence. And I say, you know, get your magnifying glass out, because we're here to find and discover your jewels and your gems. But then I'm mirroring that in the classroom with the story of Sea Monster and Terrific Turtle, who has a great attitude, and Starfish and Angelfish, Angela, their teacher, who's here to find every sea creature's stardust, because we all have stardust inside of us. And how do we find that? How do we discover it? We're going to go on an adventure, and I make it fun and engaging, and I make that what they're here in kindergarten to learn and explore and do. And not only find it in themselves, but find it in friends, right? So how can you find this in your friends and help them manage their emotions so they can come to the classroom in a calm and very peaceful place?
That is amazing.
Wow.
It is amazing. I wish any like people could relate to that even in real life, our own life, that if we could have time to just calm down and connect with this, our mind, our hearts, and our guts. And I need to ask this, because I think this is a very powerful thing if we put it in context of not only children and and parents. So as parents, and I'm going to go a little bit out of children, as parents, how do you help parents to connect with what you're doing? Because you know, for a child, and I realize being in class, you can, as a teacher or an educator, try and install some things in children, but the balance needs to be on both sides. How do we explain to parents the importance of them connecting the same way as the children are connecting? How do you help parents to understand this? Because I think if it's only in class and they don't give it outside, sometimes the children are confused, because you know, as young children, they get everything from us. Whatever they come from a teacher, they get excited. When they get home, they're affected with what is happening at home. So how do we balance this as teachers, as parents, so that we can allow empower the children to connect with themselves?
So part of it is simplifying your life, right? So what is chaotic in your environment? So one thing about me is like redesign your space to redesign your life, number one. And also I use tools, right, to teach. So I say to children, when we feel light like a feather, we know we're making good choices, right? When we feel light, our mind feels light, right? Because we're thinking good thoughts. When we eat healthy foods, we feel light. When we do kind things, right, and we show kindness and generosity, and we're helpful, we feel light. When we make poor choices and eat a lot of junk food and think a lot of negative thoughts, how do we feel? We feel heavy, right? Like a rock. So one thing I say to parents is that if you want to really understand, this journey first starts with us. I had to change myself first. I had to learn to love myself, grow into my confidence, do my own personal growth and development before I could show up in the classroom and teach this to children. So I had to transform first. And what I say to parents is I hold up a mirror, and I hold up this mirror in with the children, and I say our inner world is reflected like a mirror in our outer world. So if I'm smiling, what is the reflection in the mirror? It's a smile. But if I'm miserable, how am I going to show up in, in that mirror? I'm going to have a miserable face. So the mirror is a reflection. So if we're being really truthful and honest with ourselves, we could show up as one way, but energetically, we're a vibration, and that what we're thinking and feeling, we're going to attract in our life. So if you want, you can't fool vibration. You can't fool you can maybe fool a mirror and pretend you're smiling and frowning on the inside, but you can't fool vibration is vibration. And what you're thinking and feeling, you're going to attract into your life. So if you want more calm, you have to think and feel more calm. If you are tired of chaos and disruption, then you have to change that first in yourself before you can change it in your outer world and in your environment. So your journey is always first within.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I have learned a lot from that as a new parents, a 5-year-old, baby boy, amazing. And what Tammy said, I really resonate with that, because what we do when we first wake up, because for me, myself, I have to go into a journey for myself, to go into self-development and growth, to understand myself, so I can show up to the world and show up to my kid and my wife and my family as well, you know, to be the best version of myself. So if I look at these kids now, young age, and how I'm brought up my own kid, I'm so amazed with that, because of how I become, how I transform myself. I wake
Right.
up in the morning and I do a little meditation with him, because he also wake up early morning. So when I'm doing meditation, I put him on my side, and he's silent, he's quiet. At 4 months, 5 months old, he's silent, but sometimes he can kick. And then when he kicks me, maybe also my mind is wandering, because we only human beings. Sometimes when you meditate, sometimes your mind keep wandering. That's why you keep still. But when he kicks me, I'm back again, and then we're there. But sometimes he can be a little bit impatient. Children, you cannot keep
I
them for
love
that
that.
long. Exactly.
Well, and
And
you know
when
what, Ali, Alu, what I want to say is a full cup. We think, oh, we're running, running, running. We got all these things, but you don't realize when you're running on empty, you're
yeah,
not serving anyone.
no,
So, it's not selfish. It's very selfless to fill your cup first, because when you have a full cup, that's
Mhm,
what you're bringing to children. When
that's
you're on empty, that's what you're bringing to children.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
when you support yourself first, you're actually supporting everybody around you, because your
mhm.
energy is contagious.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
I always say, before you even walk into the store, sorry, this is a safe and loving space. We create the safe, conscious community that if your energy is not in a calm and happy and peaceful place, please stay at the door. Try to reground and turn yourself around and come in. So my students all line up. They line up with their hands on their heart and a happy and peaceful place. So I say, be still. I have my bell. My bell silences them and quiets them. And I say, good morning, everyone. But I'm there with a happy and peaceful place. And I say, Miss Valleres is here, and I welcome all of your souls to enter into the classroom. Put your hands on your heart and enter with a calm, happy, and peaceful heart. So come in really, really quietly. And then I have the environment set up. So I'm there first, and then they are. And like you said, if I'm not in a good place, that energy carries over into the children, and the children are reset me. So that's a really great example. I love that.
Absolutely. And the question I want to ask is, sorry, Fatima,
No, go
how
ahead.
do you, as a emotional intelligent teacher, how do you change emotions into emotional intelligence with kids and also adults? Because this is really an issue for a lot of us.
So it's being self-aware, and I use the zones of regulation. So I'll say to them, and I do it through story, right? Because stories will shift their thinking, which then create more adaptability. When they have an open mind and they are able to think with different perspectives, then they become more resilient, because it doesn't matter whatever happens to them. If they can turn it into a situation that's working for them, not against them, and look at challenges as opportunities, not as obstacles, all of these, the way they change their thinking is how they then show up. Each day they get better and stronger and more involved in the process. And oh my God, there is no management. I literally feel like we go to church or yoga or like a library to teach kindergarten masterclass, because these children step into it and they own it. And so I don't have to micromanage children. I get to work and collaborate with little mini teachers. I don't have problems in my classroom. And when there's one child that's having an off day emotionally, who's in the zone of regulation of anger, sadness, or fear, all these little teachers come around me and support me. And I say, friends, could you help me? We have to hold extra calm and happy and peaceful, loving space for our little friend here who came in a little sad. So if you guys can do that with Miss Valleres, I would really appreciate that. So then they're not playing off of each other. They're working with me to help that child get back into their peaceful, happy place. Because I say we're a team, right? So, and I need your help. And I teach it through story, and then we reenact it and we practice it and demonstrate it within the classroom learning environment. So they always know that they're a team player with me.
That's amazing.
That's really powerful. This is an amazing thing, because if you're doing it as an adult, you understand, oh, this is how I'm connecting with myself. But doing with children is a very powerful thing, because allowing children to connect and be able to control their anger and be connected with to be present, to be there for the now and work and do whatever they can at that particular moment is powerful. But someone is listening out there and he's wondering, how does it help the children as they grow? Because maybe somebody will think of, you're just doing it to help the child to become, they are in kindergarten but how does it help as they grow? How does it make a difference? Because, as we grow, you find that children are losing themselves because of how we are conditioned and things that are happening outside and most of the circumstances. So doing this at a young age, how does it help the children as they grow, as they're getting to adolescence and they become teenagers and starting finding their own ways to be adults?
I love that. Well, here's the thing. What I do is I give them tools. I give them strategies. I give them the stories. I empower them. And also, what are we doing? We're creating habits. And so what we do consistently and daily with our habits, we continue to carry over into our development, into our future. So, again, whether they're good habits or poor habits, we're still developing them. And so if you start at the youngest of age and they're developing bad habits, those bad habits lead and escalate into their future, right? So how do we think in the morning? How do we act in the morning? How do we feel, right? Realizing that they are in control of their emotions. Their emotions aren't in control of them. So if you give these children at the youngest of ages these tips and these tools and these strategies and these stories, and then you not only help that child, but when you are helping every child, that's their circle of influence. So we know when we create an environment where everybody knows this is not right, my students will course correct their friends. They will go and I'll say, oh, friends, you know what? When you hang out with that little friend of yours, and I know you guys love to hang around, but what you are tempted, it's like temptation. If I have a big chocolate cake in the morning in front of me, that's too much temptation, right? Or apple pie or whatever. I'm going to be tempted. So what I'm going to get you to do is go, you're a leader. And because you love your friends, and we always do it with love, because I love you, because I believe in you, because I know the truth of who you are, can you go with your little friend and help them find a different friend that they're going to be a better listener beside? So when I hang out with my friends, what am I going to do, right? I'm going to want to talk. It's too much temptation. And knowing yourself, if you know that, you like to socialize, and I say that's one of your superpowers, you're very friendly and outgoing. So I have to be mindful that when I have to listen and maybe stand beside somebody I'm not as tempted to chat with. So I give them the ways to redirect and also to support each other. So another example, we had parachutes, and the grade 8 sometimes don't put things away very well. So it was all knotted up, and I said, oh, friends, I'm going to give you a challenge. And you guys all have to undo the parachute all by yourself. Miss Valleres is going to sit over here because I believe in you. And you guys have to problem solve, talk with one another, and figure this out. Or they have to move a bench. And they have to work as a team, and they have to talk to each other, make sure nobody's toes, and they have to be calm, because safety smart. If somebody's toe, that could break your toe. So I give them challenges and opportunities to team build and socialize. That is my gym. My mom's like, when do they play? I said, Well, they play in between. But first, they're learning these skill sets and they're learning how to clean up. Do you know that I have them literally, the gym could be full on in an obstacle course with all this equipment all over. And I think, oh my goodness, how much time do I have? They've got it down to like 2 minutes and the entire class has it cleaned up, put away, and they're lined up. I'm like, I don't waste time anymore fooling around. When I say stop and drop, it is silent within 2 seconds.
Wow.
They don't have to, they get full gym periods with me because they don't take 15 minutes to tidy up. They work in collaboration and teamwork, and we are efficient. So it's like putting the foundational work in first. Everything, it's not a waste of time. If you put that foundation skills in place and these kids go grade to grade with each other and they learn to be a beautiful, supportive and loving leadership community, your work is going to go from this to this. So it's like, so work smarter, not harder. Put the foundation work in, and then you coast all the way through. So, and then you just support them as they need it because that foundation is set.
Wow, thank you very much, Tammy. Just saying that, really, it bring me back to my inner child. I just want to be in Tammy's class like a little child right now.
Me too. I create the learning environment I wish I could go back to be in.
But now we are so blessed to have you as a coach, and you're training us to be our kindergarten certified teachers. This is so great, so amazing for us, to be honest. Thank you.
That is amazing. I'm listening to you, and if this is not only for teachers, I think for parents to understand that the foundation that you give to your child, how you start raising your child from the age of 4 really matters, because a lot of them wait until when they're 15 and then they start now installing rules and values and telling them this is how you're supposed to behave. I feel when you start putting that in teaching them from that age, from where because they understand more. This is the thing that people don't understand, that the child at the age of 4 understands so much, and they learn so much from us, while we're assuming it's better for us to talk to them when they're older. What Tom is doing is amazing, and I'm listening to this and I'm looking at our system, like, how do we change, like, now if you I'm going to ask this in terms of education, in terms of how do we change our education system to allow our children to connect with who they are? Because I can go back and I say to myself, I never felt like I belonged in class like you, because I was doing things that were not connecting with me. I was doing things because I had to get a grade, because I had to be like someone who's going to be a doctor. But that was not my thing. I never, like, for me, everybody wanted to become doctors. I wanted to become a nurse. It was so fascinating for me to become a nurse. But that standard that is being put on society. So how do we change our system? How do we incorporate these things so that we can allow young children, especially the young, not the young ones, the youth, to just connect with themselves and start finding who they want to be?
So I love this question, and I'm doing this actually with the Hero Intelligence Kindergarten Masterclass Certification Training, that one of the stories that I'm teaching in kindergarten and also sharing with you guys is the tortoise and the hare. So I say, I'm an author, I'm a storyteller. I get to change the story however I want. And he's not a tortoise, he's a sea turtle. And my sea turtle comes from this ocean and comes onto land because he hears this rabbit in the forest that's causing a lot of trouble with the forest animals, because he's bragging and boasting, I'm the fastest, I'm better than you, I'm better at you. And I say to the kids, it's wonderful to celebrate our powers, our abilities, right? The rabbit is fast and he should be proud of it. But the problem is he's boasting and he's comparing his strengths to other animals, maybe let's say that are not strong in running, but they have different strengths. So what could rabbit say differently? So rabbit could say, I'm really fast at running. And what's your superpower? So then I say to the kids, they're not in competition with each other. They're in, you know, collaboration to figure out, well, I'm really good at running. What are you really good at? So it creates the dialogue for kids to pull out in each other what they're interested in, what they're good at. It's not a competition. It's not I'm better at you than this. It's we all have something that we're great at. Let's do a deep dive discovery and figure out what that is. So what was Turtle really good at? Turtle, even though he was on land and he wasn't in his winning formula, because let's face it, if the race was in the ocean, who would have been faster, right? Turtle. But when he's on land, he's slower. So it's not a competition of who's faster, because if they did it the race in the water, he's faster. But nobody thought about that question. It was always saying the turtle, right? And the rabbit. Who's faster? Because you're comparing him in a not fair race, because it's not to his advantage, right? It's to the rabbit. So again, what did Turtle have that the rabbit didn't have? Well, I say he won the race, even though he was slow. Why did he win the race? Because he had a better attitude. What did the rabbit do? He goes for a sleep in a race on the tree, even though he was the fastest of the two. He didn't win the race. Who won the race was the turtle, because this turtle was slow and steady, and he did his very best. So how many times do you see children who have amazing skills and abilities, but they have a bad attitude? And so they don't. And you see the other child who is struggling and they are not good at it, but they have a determination and a will that is never going to let it go. So even though they're finding it hard, I said, no matter what, that student is going to be the winner at life, because they've got the determination. It doesn't matter if they're in their winning formula or losing formula, they're going to win, because they're never going to give up. But that rabbit with the poor attitude and the boastful attitude, if you took the race into the water, he's never going to win, because he's got, number one, a disadvantage, and number two, the worst attitude ever. So how do we turn that around? And I want to say to you, we don't start in kindergarten. Even for parents, if parents are listening, we start when the baby is in the womb, right? Because energetically, what we're thinking, how we're feeling, our energy, what we're eating, all those things are impacting the baby. So when that baby comes into the world, we know fetal alcohol syndrome and those things that the parent was doing and preparing their body. Then it's like, we know that you ask the nurses in the hospital, you know, you can see the babies that came and that had been birthed in a loving home. This is the first home. Then we see these children that come at 4 and 5 in the classroom. Those children are grounded, they are calm, they are ready to learn. And we see the other ones that have a lot of stress and trauma when they come, because those foundation skills start the moment of conception. They start the moment of birth, right? Like Leo is doing with his baby and doing meditation. Those are the children that when they come into the classroom, they are already very grounded and they are already a lot easier to support their learning, because that educational piece, that work, that due diligence happens first at the home and then continues as a teacher and then up the grades. So we're all in this together, because if we want to create heaven on earth and we want to create these beautiful utopiary worlds, it first starts one child, ourselves first, and then one child, our own children, and then into our classrooms, and then it expands outward.
That's already, thank you. That's really powerful.
Thank you very much, Tammy, for that. And you know, we have even gone over time, so but it's normally 1 hour. But that story really reminds me of when I was in my high school. And this is the power of stories. You know, you can remember, people can give loads of information, but when you tell a story, this is what stick in the head. And then, but that model you use in that strategy, you know, for children, by telling stories, they'll go home with this and this will stick into their head. I remember I wasn't that brilliant in school, you know, and I never been taking fours or being in the first, fifth or first 10 even. But I remember this guy was like one of the top, who used to take first. And the way they are acting with us, like thinking that we're the dumbest people in the class. But after finishing high school and everything, I found myself an amazing job. I was like working in a corporate company, suit and tie and everything. Then I walked past this guy, was wearing flip-flops, and the condition I looked at him, he wasn't at his best condition. I'm like, wow, life is really an amazing example. This is a journey. Look, I wasn't the brilliant student in school that time. He was more brilliant then, but now look at me. I'm having a better job than him and well, mannered in life and then well
You were like
put together.
Turtle, right? You didn't find your winning formula. And here's the thing, if we haven't found our winning formula, just keep going, keep showing up as your best, because
Yeah,
eventually you will find your winning formula. If you're
absolutely.
in your winning formula, like Rabbit, but you're not doing your best, you're going to end up in those positions, because nobody's going to want to hire you when you
Absolutely.
show up not at your
Okay.
best, and you're going to lose that advantage very quickly. And here's the thing, why I love talking about animal school, because every animal has a different superpower. And if we compared, bird started to say, I'm a better flyer than you, fish, it wouldn't even make sense, because that's like their strengths are two completely different things, but they're both good at two different things. Bird's superpower is flying, and fish's superpower is swimming. So it's not a competition. It's a celebration that we all do things differently and gloriously. And so when we can take that out of education and start to help make it not about a subject, but about their super strengths and self-awareness, we will shift education. So we need to do that first. We need to stop teaching subjects, and we need to start realizing we are here to teach students how to pull and discover their superpowers, their strengths, and their self-smart, so that they can go into the world and share those beautiful gifts with everyone else to help make the world a better place.
Amazing.
That's so true. I mean, even as a teacher, not as a student, if you're a teacher, sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you want to give more, or you want to empower children in a different way, but there's a system that's just telling you, okay, they need just to know how to learn and study lessons rather than finding their own abilities. I think that's a very powerful thing to say. So we talked so much about animals, and you also teach about animal spirit and how animals to connect with animals so that you can find your own path or understand yourself better. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I always say in coaching, if I had to do one thing for the rest of my life, and the only thing, I would teach people how to connect with their spirit animal. And the reason why I say that is because I was not connected. I was not spiritual. I wasn't awake. I was living in this unhealthy, unhappy, outer world riches, inner poverty. And until that little dove hit my window and woke me up, and I truly believe that dove was here and was called to be my spirit animal and connect me to my higher and hero self. And when I can help other people connect to their higher and hero self, it's magical. And you start not seeing the world as, two-dimensional, but you start to see it as this multiple sensory world that's always communicating, right? There's a whole energetic world that we don't even see. So when you say spirit animal, it's like you might not know that animal, you might not see that animal as a physical being, but it's there with us as a guide. And I've started to play with this, and I've probably done over 100 compass cards for life where I help people discover their spirit animal. And every time they do, they're in awe and amazement of it. And many times they are shocked by the animal that comes to them. So what I love about this is, when I was talking to you, Fatima, you were like, this spirit animal, I wasn't connected to it. I didn't understand why. So I'm going to take you through a little exercise, and I want to help you understand why this animal showed up in your life. And you're going to see how this one specific animal is absolutely the right animal to help you where you're supposed to go on your pathway and how you're supposed to evolve into the soul that you desire to be. So are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was your animal that you, when you went through the process, you discovered was your spirit animal?
Me?
Yes.
Owl.
Owl. So owl, when you think of an owl, what are attributes or qualities that you admire about an owl?
Actually, I'm so surprised because I've not paid attention. All I know about an owl is that it's a nocturnal, so it's more observant in the darkness, and I think it's more intuitive, more of intuition, because it survives in the night, and that's all I can say about it. It's not an animal that I have really
Resonate.
attention about.
This is
Okay, so
amazing.
perfect. I love that. So nocturnal animal in the night and has to use its intuition. Okay, that's really powerful because in everything that we're talking about right now, if you use your intuition moment to moment, not your thinking brain, but your heart brain and your intuition, what do you think about your favorite animal, which is the butterfly? How do butterflies move in such far distances and find their relocation?
Intuition.
Intuition, right? So they don't think about it. They use their intuition to get to the far and distant places. So animals are very in tune, right? They use their intuition. And that's the one thing that as the human animal, we need to learn how to do, because we're not good with working with our intuition. So here's 3 things that owl came into your life to teach you. Number 1, when owl comes in, it's time to face your shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So facing your fear, it's like entering into the cave, right? When we're doing entering the cave, because when you enter and face your fears and those shadows, it's when you come out on the other end, it's this awakening, this epiphany, right? So the things you fear are the things that you actually desire at a soul level, but we don't ever go there because our fears push us back, hold us back from ultimately, being successful on the hero's journey. So you have to face your fears. And once you face them, they're not the scary, scary monsters that we thought they were. And we push through them and push past them, and it makes us stronger. So that's the first thing Owl came to teach you, is to face the shadows. The second thing is to find wisdom in silence.
Interesting.
And this is the whole hero's journey. So
Wow.
when we get still and when we get silent is how we connect with our hero and higher self, which is how we connect with our way and our why, which is how we connect with our North Star, what we are here and what we are born to be and do. Is there anything more important than that on this journey? And this is why so many people are lost and don't have their way, don't know their way, because they don't know how to get intuitive. They don't know how to connect with their inner silence, and they don't know how to connect with, their purpose and their passion. And you could have it all like I did, but that gives you the outer riches, but not the inner success and growth that we desire. And the third thing, you guys are all holding on to your edge of your seat here. The third thing is this animal comes into your life when you need to see the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what's so beautiful about that. My program starts with truth, trust, transition, transformation. If we are not speaking the truth, living the truth, we're not in truthful relationships, we're not being true to ourselves, what's the point? The whole point is that it becomes a lie. And so when I speak my truth to the students in my classroom, I am speaking to their soul. There could be some very old souls in my classroom, but if I'm talking to their physical age, their chronological age, which is a 4-year-old, I'm missing the greater soul that they might have come into this world and how they showed up in this world to teach me. And so I know that's the truth. And when I speak to that truth and my soul is speaking to their soul, there is no age.
Mhm.
And so that's how we come together. And here's the other thing. I've realized I might be smarter in certain areas, okay? Like I might know math better than them, or science, maybe not math, but I might know English or science or stories or those things, right? Psychology. But you know what? I'll tell you something, or I might know how to decorate better than those kids. But what do they do better than me? They know how to play better than I ever could. They know how to use their powerful imagination better than me. They are persistent, like the little turtle, terrific turtle. They will fall how many times and learn to walk and get back up. They have skills. If I'm comparing my apples to their oranges, it's not a fair estimation, but there are things that they are better and greater than I will ever be. And you know what? They have those children are loving. They are forgiving than any other adult. They don't see color and race and size and abilities. They are born with this beautiful, they are taught prejudice and racism and all of those things. So here's the thing. I look to them to rediscover and go back to finding my truth, how I was born into this world as a beautiful being. So owl, boy, what a beautiful, powerful, master, wise teacher and spirit animal to have come into your heart for this call and for this journey.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so beautiful. Just listening to that. This
Yeah.
is a waking moment for Fatima today. She's just smiling. Wow.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot, because the hardest thing that I've had in my journey is to have that quiet moment of connecting. And when she's talking about it, I think that has been the hardest journey to connect, to just be quiet and connect with yourself. And now that I'm getting there, to just know, okay, I need to connect with myself. It's a very powerful thing, and it has really changed me. So it is really amazing when she's saying this, because you can connect with something so much. And when you talk about intuition, I think you connect with things for so many reasons. Because for me, I like using my intuition more than just doing things. My intuition really guides me to what I want to do. So it's a it's a very funny thing. And like when you were saying, and I'm like, okay, things happen, and you connect with things at a certain point for a reason, because it allows you to maybe to connect more with yourself, to understand yourself better in a higher level. That's really powerful. Thank you.
And when you do that, when you are connected to your higher self, what are you able to show up and support children to do? To show up and connect to their higher self and maintain the truth that they were born into. It's like the serpent, right? All these lies. Who's telling them all these lies, whether it's school or media? There's so many lies out there. And the thing is where does truth happen? Inside. You know what is true because you feel it in your body. You can do muscle testing and you ask your body, is this true? You can you're weaker when you're telling a lie. You're stronger when you are speaking in truth. So the whole journey back to truth, where you can build truth, then you build trusting relationships. And that's how we transition, right? And then transform. So truth, trust, transition, transformation is the hero's journey. And we're all on this journey to transform ourselves so we can show up in the truth of who we are, to support children in the truth of who they are, and they can become the future generation and leaders to helping create this world that's possible. Because planet Earth is so beautiful. We don't need to go to another planet. Let's love this one. It's so magical and so beautiful, but we need the right mindset and the right leaders to guide us into those results.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tammy, for sharing all these powerful things. And I can really resonate with this because when I started my self-development journey, I now started doing things that I've never done before. I started hugging trees, embracing nature, loving the beauty of everything. Because when I came to Estonia, it's really, they're so connected to nature. And I'm also connected to nature now, and I love it. I love the environment. Everywhere is trees. And they told me here that trees have so much energy. And the longer a tree lives, the more energy it got. So when you hug it, you can transfer that energy. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start hugging trees. So that's a normal
I'm a
person.
tree hugger. I love the trees. I love
Yeah,
grounding. I love all of that,
you know,
right? It's
exactly.
beautiful.
Because at the end of the day, a normal person, when they see you like hugging to like this guy, I think is psycho. But I mean, this is the thing. We need to connect ourselves to nature. And if I can also say my spirit animal, I don't know whether you have what time.
So
Tammy?
yours, what was your spirit animal?
I did the quest and it was a snake.
Right. So I love that you guys discovered your spirit animals. And here's what I
Yeah.
want to say to Fatima too, and both you, you guys. I want you to start creating an image or bringing owl and snake into your existence. So as a little character or as a little, mentor or something, find one that resonates with you. And then, so it's a reminder of what it is they are here to teach you, and just start to build a connection with them, and you'll see the magic happen. Because as you're now awake to your spirit animal and connected to it, you're going to start seeing signs and things happen, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, and so you're going to see the connections, right? Because animal and the universe speaks to us when we're awake and we know the language. So just be conscious and awake of it, and you'll start to see it. But play with it, have fun with it. Okay, yours was snake, and yours is about the mystical will become the norm. So I love what you said about the tree, where you're like hugging it, and people are looking at you like he's cuckoo. Well, that's it. The connection to oneness, the connection to nature and spirit, the mystical, the magic, the awareness that we're all one, that becomes your norm. You're no longer like that sleeping soul, right, who's looking at you in judgment, because they're still asleep. So when they're looking at you, and you're now this mystical being into the world and hugging trees, that is becoming your norm. And you know what? You don't care about the sleeping soul and trying to appease them and trying to be like them, because you know that you're in the truth and they're in the lie of their life. So the mystical world becomes your norm. That's a beautiful message from Snake. The second thing is to stay grounded through ultimate transformation. So Snake's letting you know you will transform, and you will be a transformational teacher, mentor, and coach and parent. But to stay grounded, which is what you did with that tree. Nature grounds us. So when we get into nature, if we're stressed out, strung out, you can feel that. And at the beginning of a trail, by the end of that trail, just walking through nature automatically will ground you. And isn't it interesting that you shared that just before I shared your message about Snake? How it's like you were already tuned in, tapped into Snake, and talking about the mystical world and the grounding with the tree just before I shared this with you. So you're already paying attention. Snake is already in your experience. You just didn't realize it until right now. We're helping you to understand and connect the dots.
Absolutely.
So the other thing is, the last thing, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Focus is needed to achieve your goals. So Snake is telling you.
This is the problem. This is my main weakness.
And Snake is saying, just like Fatima, who's saying, I need to.
I need that, of course.
Snake is telling you to stay focused, because if you're not focused on your goal, you're going
Ooh,
to be pulled off in all these different
that
directions. Which is
that
also
really
why
gets
you
me.
need to get grounded.
Mhm, mhm. That really gets me, Tammy. Absolutely.
And snake is a transformational animal. So, right, it sheds its skin. And Fatima's butterfly is a transformational animal. And what did Owl talk to Fatima about? That what? If we want to go through the hero's journey and transform, we have to enter the cave, face our shadows, connect with our intuition, right? So you are both on this transformational journey, the hero's journey up to transformation, and both of you are both connected to the transformation animal.
Absolutely.
So I'm not surprised that you're on the journey with us. You both have a transformation animal in as your spirit animal, as your guide. They're trying to help you reach your success, but they're both giving you the 2 points of weakness for you that you need to strengthen. So we go to the gym to strengthen our muscles. So Fatima's going to go and strengthen her muscles around silence and stillness and connecting to her intuition to reach her transformation. And yours is grounding and staying focused.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Tammy.
Amazing.
Thank you. This is a powerful program, and it's really like an awakening moment for two of us right now.
Mhm.
And I know anyone who is listening today will learn a lot from you. And how can someone reach out to you, Tammy? Or Fatima, do you want to say anything before we finish the program, because we've overgone the time?
No, I'm good. I think she's just give us a lot of insights. We all need to just observe them and connect with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And
digest. And it's fun, right? This was fun. We did an hour and a half, and it just flew by because
I know it was just amazing talks. I really love it. And the other day, I remember talking to you, Tammy, that I'm in that transformational journey, and my spirit animal, it came to me, tell me that you need to transform, because I remember quitting my job from the UK and then left to the Gambia. Then from there, I came back to Estonia, and right now I'm transforming from being a working class, trying to be my own boss, trying to be an entrepreneur. So it's really challenging right now, but I'm just in the process and I love it so much. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, Tammy, how can they reach out to you? If you can, share with their audience.
Yeah, well, they can connect with you guys, of course, and connect with your hearts, because you guys are on the journey to transformation, because you are going to be creating these transformations within the world as well. And then they can just message me on Facebook. I'm in Facebook, or just so just connect with me on Facebook, or Tammy at compassionatecrew.com is my email. So, and part of our program is starheroacademy.com. So if they want to, they can connect with our website. So just go to starheroacademy.com and they can see and learn more about who I am and the team, the Star Hero Academy team that I'm working with, because that was a beautiful journey. When COVID hit, we connected with these amazing power people around the world that shared the same vision and mission, and we created the Star Hero Academy program. So this is why this is all up into play and form now. So I'm in very huge gratitude for that experience. And there's the thing, right? Taking a challenge like COVID and turning it into an opportunity. It's all about how we face challenges and difficulties in our life. How do we turn pain into purpose? So it's just been an honor being with both of you and talking to you, and being able to connect with your two amazing spirit animals, owl and snake, and what they're here to teach you, right? Because is there any other animal that could have been that laser clear in helping you get to your transformation? I don't know. You guys only know that answer.
And the thing is, like, all this while, I'm really scared of snakes.
They face your fear, right? And face the shadow, enter the cave that you fear. Learn to embrace the snake and really embody what it means.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Tammy, for that. We really appreciate you for that. Yeah.
I just want to thank Katya and Bashir for joining us today. Anyone else who's going to join us, or if you watch this later, please share. The purpose for these talks is to empower, to inspire, and today we had so much insights, especially on how to help our children to connect with themselves and help them to grow to be better adults and change our society. So if you're watching later, please share. And it's always, you can share your comments, you can ask a question, and we're here to help you and to connect with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Tammy, for taking your time. This has been an amazing talk.
And I would say the last thing, I believe children are 80% of our population and also 100% of our future. And if we can help these children from a young age to set up that amazing, strong foundation, like Tammy always said, any strong building starts from the foundation. If the foundation is strong, the building will stand strong. So if we can help these children to be strong at a young age, they can build a better world for themselves. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.